Welcome to Mother Funkler. Greetings to all of our fellow Funklers. Today, we're broadcasting from the Crow's Nest. Each week, we dive headfirst into bizarre stories, crazy concepts, and personal adventures. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Your reviews, comments, and questions are greatly appreciated. I'm Atomic Chili Sauce, your navigator through this chaos and the owner of Atomic Barber Company in Hannibal Square, Winter Park, Florida. You can follow me at Atomic Chili Sauce on Instagram. Joining me today are PR and Orlando Trivia Nick. PR is the owner of the Winter Park, Florida Allstate Agency. Nick is a trivia host in Winter Park, Florida, and the broadcast voice of the Orlando Predators. You can follow Nick at Orlando Trivia on Instagram. Hey, Nick.
What's going on?
What's shaking, man?
You know, I like to party.
What's this? It's this we.
I mean, we like to party.
Yes.
You asked me how I was doing. I like to party.
Yeah.
That's my initial response to every question.
It's good to see you, man.
Good to see you, too.
PR, what's going on today?
Hey, Trev. Yeah, it's been a great couple of days. Enjoying being on my own. My wife's off to South Africa, and I'm kind of holding the fort.
I mean, this is really party time for PR. That's why there's
go.
a hole in the bottle of that wine there.
You're bacheloring it up, man.
Yeah. I'm trying to be the best I can.
Word.
That's a great place to be.
I can tell you I'm excited about the topic that we're going to discuss today.
Yeah, so I'm thrilled to have everybody here. Let's get started. Today we're going to talk about legacy. So I like to refer to legacy as passing the torch. I think that's a cool, it's synonymously cool. I'm hoping to explore the impact of legacy on us as individuals, our communities, and the world. Today, right now, let's start with the fundamental question: what is legacy? PR? Do you have a definition of legacy?
Yeah, I think it's in a sentence or a few words. It's a memory. It's how would you like people that interact with you to remember you. So I think there's a traditional kind of definition of what a legacy is, and the traditional definition would be, you know, when you pass on, what do people want to receive from you when you pass on? That would be a traditional definition.
What people want to receive from you.
From you when you pass on. So typically it's assets, right? It's money, it's values, principles, a business, art, pieces of art. It's a whole range of things that typically is a legacy. I would say that it is more, for me, a memory of the experience and the interaction with you, and how would you like people to remember that as a legacy?
Gotcha.
But I think my friend would beg to differ.
So
I'm so excited.
Yes.
For this.
Well, I'll start short. I allow PR's got a little bit more, on the airing of the number of words. What I'll say is that I think it is a byproduct of the human evolution hardwired need to survive. I think it's something that because we have to survive at all costs, it just comes naturally in our brain that we feel like we have to continue living even after we die. Other than that, I think it is an artificial construct that does more harm than good.
Okay.
But everything that we do, every interaction that we have with someone has a result where they remember that. And that, whether you like it or not, is your legacy.
So I was waiting to the end to, I have detailed notes. I'm excited about today. I have very detailed notes about this. I'm going to jump to my end idea, which it's ripple effect.
Yeah.
So the concept is we're projecting futuristically to what our legacy could be, when we really should be focusing in this very moment right now on the effect that we have on everybody.
Correct.
I feel like legacy isn't identified with. There's a concept that I'm searching for, but there is no such thing as good or bad legacy. Legacy is legacy. So you could punch somebody in the face and you're leaving.
That's your memory, and that's your legacy.
And that's a legacy.
So I think that, there's the idea, I think a traditional idea, which is legacy can appear to be pretentious and artificial. My sense is
what's an example of art pretentious and artificial?
Well, where you're trying to create an asset or create a memory that's not real you. So, for example, the way that you create your business and the experience in your business, you are not creating that to leave a legacy. You are creating that so that your clients come into your shop and they enjoy that. And the same with Nick and with the trivia. He is doing it to the best of his ability, which is he wants to provide an experience that, whether you like it or not, 20 years from now, you hope is going to be an experience that people remember.
I do not hope that. I do not care about that. I agree with you that to a certain extent, I'm trying to provide an experience that's fun for people, as Trevor is at his barbershop. He wants to provide somebody with a great experience while also getting a great haircut. And how you're selling the idea that if something were to happen to your house, you're going to have a positive experience with you having to make a claim if that became it. Where I can't disagree, obviously, that no matter what you do creates a memory. That's not where I disagree. I disagree with the elevation of this idea. When you say pretentious, the definition to me of pretentious is thinking that anything you do is elevating from just a memory, like any other memory, to a legacy. That elevation to me is in itself pretentious, and I think it speaks to people and their hard-driven ego to actually carry on, to actually mean something, when really I don't think that we do.
And I think that there's a concept that legacy can be narcissistic. So let's look at that idea, right?
I would like to.
Because my sense is that when we run our businesses, when Nick does the work that he does, and when Trevor does the work that he does, and when I do the work that we do it to the best of our ability for our clients, for our staff, and for our community.
And for myself.
All of us do it, right? We do it for the best, for everyone that kind of experiences the business and their interaction with us. As a result of that, whether you like it overtly or whether you like it unconsciously, you are creating a memory. People will either have a good memory or a bad memory. So, by definition, Nick, you are always creating a good legacy or a bad legacy.
Well, not by definition, because I disagree with your definition of it. The word legacy is implying that you're elevating these simple memories to something that means something that it doesn't. Where if as my belief has been clearly stated, we're all insignificant pieces of dust floating around at the end of the day. Really, all you're trying to do is create for your own feelings 10 minutes before you die, that whatever it was that you went through, the misery, the pain, the love, the pleasure, that it all actually meant something when it didn't. But there's something biologically imperative inside of us that makes us feel like we have to have some kind of meaning.
Do you have any insight to, like, I feel the same way, the biological part. Why the fuck do we feel that way?
I think it's ever since we became conscious, and I'm borrowing from Schopenhauer here. This isn't Nick Sedul on philosophy. But what I'd say, I think that when we gained consciousness and we actually became understanding that one day we will die, it's very hard for a brain that is hardwired through evolution to spend your whole life doing nothing but surviving, just to know that at any moment it's just gone. So what we do to rationalize that is many things. We come up with people in the sky who are going to take care of us. We come up with ghosts floating around. We come up with millions of excuses as to what we're doing here and why we're here. And one of those is, oh, well, at least here I am dying on my bed. At least I know that people will remember me, that I made something of myself. That's really, I think, all that it is. It's a defense mechanism against the darkness.
But you've gone to the narcissistic part of it, which is that people will remember you. I'm suggesting that it is something bigger than that. I'm suggesting that it is the way that you are remembered. So you haven't offered anyone
But
anything.
for you to care about how somebody remembers you is narcissistic in itself.
No, because every interaction that you have with someone, there's a memory, whether you like it or not. When you provide the shows that you do, somebody has that interaction within that show. They remember that, good or bad, right? So there are legacies of people in history that we know that have created disasters in the world. We remember them. That's their legacy. What I think from a narcissistic point of view is that you want a legacy that is good, right? That people respect you, value you, think, oh my God, he's gone. Bad. Everybody, you think.
Why do you want
I'm just
that?
saying. No, I'm saying that's the traditional sense. And you think, okay, that's my legacy. No, I'm not suggesting that's my legacy. My legacy is not to hope that I'm leaving something that is good or bad or whatever. I am saying that I want to be on this earth to try, firstly, to live the best life possible, and know that I contributed and came into this world and left this world a better place.
Oh,
as
such
an
a
individual.
cliche.
Yeah.
Every single
And
research paper you read about the idea of legacy says that stupid sentence right there.
But let me say this from the way where I don't want to sound narcissistic, right? I would say that it's twofold.
You're doing a good job of tap dancing around narcissism. Keep going.
But let me say, firstly, the businesses that I've been involved in, I would like to believe that when I created an asset, when I was part of a business, that when I left that business would go on to thrive and exist without me being there.
That is a narcissistic statement in every definition of the word.
I would say that is completely not.
The
right?
only reason you would have any reason to care about this company is to make yourself feel better that you did a good job. What else could it possibly be?
The whole idea of a business is that you're creating an asset. Otherwise, you're creating a huge debt for people around you. So my idea of a business that I'm in, whether I'm working there or whether I own it, is that it's something that is more valuable when I leave than when I started. So I'm creating an asset. And what I would like to believe is that the person that is buying that business, if I've created an asset, finds it to be more valuable when they purchase it than when I took it. That's progress.
There are a lot of levels on this that I disagree with. One that could be an episode all its own, which is my aversion to growth culture. Growth culture has gotten a lot more steam recently, but growth culture is this idea that nothing is successful unless it's consistently and constantly growing. And that is, in my opinion, farce.
Well, that's an asset, right?
But your definition you just said was that it's growing, that it's continuing, that it's better.
Yeah.
Business is survival. It's somebody who started a company to provide for themselves and for the people who work for them.
Well, I would say that a business is something that you're doing because you're good at it, because you enjoy what you're doing, and at the same time you are able to live your life, meaning you can provide for the things that you want.
I agree with all three of those.
I want to go back to narcissism, and this gets a little, I could tie it back to legacy. It gets a little obscure, a little abstract. I have a theory that there is no such thing as altruism. I think that everybody to their core is narcissistic.
Absolutely. Please give that theory to PR, because I
have my best example that I've been working on for decades, and this is at the time that I severed my relationship with the Roman Catholic Church, is that Mother Teresa was more narcissistic than anybody else in the entire world. And here's my here's my deal. So, okay, she could be seen as altruistic, right? But in the end, she wanted to get to heaven. Like, she did all this shit because she wanted to please God and go to fucking heaven. That's fucking narcissism.
That was the outline of what I'm telling you, is that every argument you're giving me about why you created this magical business that's going to provide for everybody, and when you leave, whether you're fired or you quit, it's going to be a better place. That does nothing but feed your own ego to some extent.
No.
There is no other purpose for it.
Well, it gives you, it ensures, it gives you a framework to say, do good, work as hard as you can.
I have 3 points for legacy, and I'm stuck again. I'm stuck in a world between you two crazy sons of bitches. Compassion, integrity, and resilience. But
Exactly.
But so I think those things exist, and I think that's part of legacy. But I would still say that it's narcissistic. I fully buy into it, and I want to participate in it.
Of course it is. Your first prong is compassion. Compassion is going to be dictated by the culture that you're in. Like in medieval times, something that I would do that would be found to be completely compassionate to somebody else would be terrible now. When you talk about compassion, you're still only doing it because you are getting a good feeling that you're being good to your fellow man.
Right.
Like even
it's a chemical dump.
Yes.
To-
and when you
to
do
do
it
these
for the
things.
betterment of your community, you're really doing it so that your community's better, so that you can enjoy a better community.
I don't
Like,
disagree with that.
So it's at its heart all narcissistic. So to create or think the fiction that you're leaving some sort of legacy is in and of itself just setting yourself up for the 10 minutes before you die to feel really good about yourself.
Do you think that there is? Well, this is a two-parter. Do all humans feel the need to leave a legacy? And there's a little bit of a caveat
suggest-
at the end of this.
I'm going to suggest that live your life every day, live each day to the best of your ability, do your shit. If you create, every one of us, if we do it the way, if we do it properly, you will leave a good legacy. If you do it with infamy, you will leave a bad legacy.
We need to get him. We need to get him the one microphone that Tony Robbins wears. He asked you a direct question.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's anybody on the face of the earth that is sitting on the side of the road or a beach bum or something that's just sitting there going, I don't fucking care?
Yeah. If nobody remembers you, if nobody ever remembers you on this earth,
Is there a possibility?
Is there a person, PR?
Is there a
in your
possibility
opinion,
that
that doesn't care
if-
about legacy?
he's just meant, yeah. Because
Who?
if there's somebody that you know that leaves no kids,
Okay.
leaves no wife,
Okay.
leaves no memory.
And this person exists.
I don't care about legacy.
No,
I'm sitting at this table.
No,
I don't care.
This is not about whether you care about the
that
idea.
was his direct question.
No, it is whether anyone. A legacy is not about what it's a memory that you've created with other people. Do people remember you after you have gone?
That wasn't his question. His question was, do you think there's anybody on earth that cares whether they leave a legacy? So regardless of your definition of legacy.
That does not care.
Yeah, that does. I would say that there are.
It's kind of yes or no.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I would say that I don't care. If you ask me the question,
Yeah.
I am not setting out on my journey to create a legacy for myself.
You have through
Right?
through offspring.
I have so I am not on my journey doing the things that I do to create a legacy. I am, but the difference is here's the other thing, right? But I want to protect a legacy, right?
So that's in
so
direct
different
prediction
thing.
with everything you just said.
Here's the thing: legacy could be about me, right?
Right.
Legacy could be about my parents, and I am saying that legacy, I want to be able to continue the legacy of what my dad has created. For example, right? He's lived a certain life, a certain system, a certain value system, and I would like to be able to continue that. So this is such a powerful.
But that's just to get yourself off. That's not to create some sort of future legacy for you.
But no, it's not for me. So that's the thing with legacy, right? Legacy is not just about what you are creating for people to remember Trevor or Nick. Legacy is about the heritage that you have. And I feel an obligation.
Let me jump in. So do you believe that there is somebody there? Let me rephrase. Let me quit stuttering. Do you think that there is a human that doesn't give a fuck about legacy?
Yes, I don't care about my legacy.
I could argue like you
go ahead.
I'm
in.
You buy drinks. I think that's leaving an effect on other people.
That
That's
is
leaving a memory.
That is lubricating.
That's a legacy.
That is lubricating future relationships that will bring me joy and ease throughout my life period.
I think that's a variation of legacy. So thank you.
So
my point in jumping into this is I would like to identify the different types of legacy that are out there. At least for me, the go-to and what most at least citizens of the United States would say is money and property in a will. That's a legacy. So, but what I want to focus on and what I am focusing on is philanthropy, mentorship, creative expression, which would be art, sculpture, music, movies, you name it, commerce or business, and kids. So that's my those are my categories that I've come up with.
But Trevor, you talk about your grandfather.
Sure.
Right? That is a legacy.
Sure.
Right? And you, in the stories that you tell, you are preserving that legacy.
I agree, but here's what I want to throw out there, and the reason that I ended with children's is
okay.
My partner and I we're getting older. I don't know if we're going to have kids. So where does that, at this point, that becomes like
that's the
narcissism.
That's the poor man's legacy. That's what you got when you have nothing else.
To kids
to leave behind.
Tell me more.
Well, if you buy into this idea that you need to matter beyond the time that you die, for which you will have no personal experience or knowledge of. So the only thing you're fighting for here, again, is the time before you die to think that something about you is carrying on, a totally narcissistic and just ego-filling thought. When you have nothing else, people have kids, they can always rely on their kids. When the majority of kids born are pieces of shit, but it's still your kid, so you're going to love your kid, and at least you're like, well, my genetic material is going to continue to exist. And hopefully they'll have a kid.
I want you to keep going, but I want to jump in and say, so Genghis Khan had 5% of men, 0.5% of men in the world right now, or about 16 million people, have Genghis Khan's DNA. That's a fucking legacy. That's a fucking legacy.
It depends on your definition of the word. And where I'm disagreeing with you guys is the elevation of memory or facts from some sort of mythical legacy that you, the human being, is leaving behind. His genetic material's running around, but there's trees that are 500 years old. There's diseases that are millions of years old. That's not a legacy. That's just a thing.
One of my next questions would be, are all living things on this earth leaving some sort of legacy?
I mean, according to PR, that coffee machine's leaving a fucking legacy. It exists. I have memory of it being here. Therefore, I have memory of the legacy of the fantastic coffee machine, which does make good coffee.
Well, it makes good coffee, but the legacy that I'm leaving is my famous boozy coffees. That's a fucking legacy. I make the best boozy coffees.
Yeah, and we all know that there are things, right, that don't do anything, but they leave memories. We think about stuff that happened for me in the 70s that I have like the first television set.
I'm imagining
right?
you with a 70s afro and platform shoes right
now. Or a
now.
car that I drove, a Renault car my first car, great memories. That is a legacy. So I'm saying that it is, I'm not saying that we set out every day to try and engineer positive thoughts. You crack on and you do your life. Right.
I mean, I think our listeners would disagree that that's not your philosophy. You've stated that your philosophy is to push on and think positive thoughts.
No, I'm saying that I want to live my life in a way that people that interact with me have a positive experience. And I'm saying that it is that anything that you do, you're not engineering. I'm not engineering that. I want people to have a good experience. Now, so I have three types of legacy. The one type of legacy is personally, the legacy that I want to leave, people that interact with me. The second form of legacy is my kids and how I want them to perceive me and enjoy me when I'm not here. That's a legacy. That's the traditional legacy. And the third form of legacy is my business. I bought the business for, let's call it $100, right? When I sell the business, I'm hoping that it is more valuable. Part of it is because the value that I've created. And I'm hoping that because of the foundation that I've created, which I was not part of the original piece, that it is stronger because of my contribution, and that's my legacy. But if it is weaker, that also is my legacy. And that's kind of what I'm saying is that so I'm hoping that it's less narcissism and really just about trying to highlight the fact that everything that we do is a memory, and that people are experiencing you, and that as a result of that, legacy is not death. Legacy is about how people perceive you and how people remember you.
Which is only relevant to how you view yourself, is my argument. When you say all of this stuff, it all directly, as Trevor stated, there is no such thing as altruism. So everything that you're saying relates back to not some fancy mythical idea that transcends your existence. It all comes back to your brain and your experience of how your kids view you.
Right.
And I mean, what about legacy as a crapshoot? Everything's a memory, you say. How about the history books are written by the victors? There are a lot of people through history that have probably done great things, and we don't remember them as being great because of the ways that any history book was written. So they got to die with this fantastic idea of their legacy, but nobody else remembers it. So by your argument, they are cheapened of your mythical legacy because of the actions of other people. Is that fair?
No, I think records don't remember them. There are people that remember people that came in second place.
But why is that relevant?
Right?
Only because the actor cared. Only because the actor realized that they made those people happy.
So the legacy isn't that the world remembers what we've done. The legacy is that there are those that experienced you, that have experienced you, and therefore you've left a legacy for them. So let me give you an example.
You just defined something by saying it's not the definition, but it is the definition.
No, I'm saying legacy is not that you're famous.
You said legacy is not how you're remembered, it's how everybody remembers you. That's what you just said.
Well, I said that legacy is how people perceive you. So if you came first in a race, for example, right? You are remembered publicly. When you come second, the public don't remember you, but there are people that you have impacted and have touched that remember you. So in my sense, in my world, and in the world of us talking around this table and have shared some stories, Trevor's granddad hasn't impacted me personally. But there are things in the crow's nest that I hear that he shared with us that happened to be a legacy. Now, did his granddad think that he was doing certain things that 100 years later would be impacting us? No, he didn't do it because of that. He did it because he enjoyed what he was doing.
There's a possibility he thought about doing that.
So
there is a possibility.
Calling a spade a spade.
He was
Trevor,
like,
I appreciate it.
I'm going to do this now because it's going to be
that would fit with
epic.
my grandfather
right.
as well.
In 2023, 2024. But so my sense is that at that point, we talk about these things, we share these stories, and it is post the person being here. I think that's a traditional form of legacy.
Before you continue down that path, can I ask you the difference between the stories that Trevor's grandfather told you that have impacted you so much, or reading a law that says that you can't run a stop sign? They're both stories that have been handed down by somebody else that you didn't meet, that are now dictating the way that you conduct yourself. It's in your best interest not to run a stop sign because you could die. It's in your best interest to listen to Trevor's grandfather because it can help your life and enrich your life. Why is Trevor's grandfather's anecdote a legacy while a law that's been in existence for 500 years is just a fact?
It's a legacy. We have
So it's defined by its own definition.
We have a few tech people around here, but at least two, Trevor and Ed. And, there are systems that existed in the 60s and 70s. And by definition, we call them legacy systems, right? It's a memory. It's how it was the foundation of what we have today. So the system...
So the law is also a legacy?
The law is a legacy.
Okay.
It has evolved.
So with your crazy, open, broad definition, I don't think I disagree. If you're going to say...
Don't say that.
If you're going to say that everything that happens, everything that exists is a legacy, then I just think you've cheapened your own definition of legacy. But if you're willing to cheapen it, I'm willing to buy it.
I'm saying that everything that happens is a memory.
No matter what.
No matter what. You have to be somebody that was completely invisible.
A bear took a shit in the woods. That pile of shit is a legacy.
Yes, because and then my other questions are, is every living thing. So yeah, you have mold, you have fungus that comes and eats that shit, and then that transfers to others.
I think you guys are missing the forest through the trees, bro. Like if you really want to bring the legacy, your definition of legacy down to this base level, I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think if you listen back, you're not going to want this to be your definition of legacy if you care about your legacy.
No, I think that... So here's the traditional definition. There is a traditional definition. And the traditional definition is that, what am I leaving for the next generation?
Correct.
Right? It's as simple as that. Okay? And I think that we have evolved enough to say that it is not an asset, painting, estate, money that I'm leaving for the next generation. I may leave zero for the next generation in terms of dollars. But I am leaving them with a set of values. I'm leaving them with an experience. And I'm leaving them with a whole range of things.
And that all makes you feel so good.
That's
why you're doing it.
No, but I am saying that I am not consciously every day getting up and saying, I'm doing this.
Can you honestly say that?
I am.
You can honestly say that you're not every day thinking about what you're leaving
every
your kids
day,
financially?
The only thing I want to do, and this is the honest truth, every day I am getting up to live my best day.
Oh my God.
I am not
something like that. I knew it was going to be, I knew it was going to sound like you ripped it off of a daily calendar that said the positive affirmation of the day.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I could feel it.
But it is, and I believe that is my everyday is well-intentioned to live the best day. However, in living the best day, I want to make sure that the experiences that people have and the interactions that people have with me is something that they would find positive.
But the reason you want to have the interactions with the people to feel positive is to make yourself feel good.
Yeah, and I feel good with that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Exactly.
That's narcissism. That's totally feeding your own ego. That's what it's about.
I want to put my head on the pillow every night and feel good about my day. That's what I want. Right? I don't want to feel awful. I don't flip people on the I-4. I don't do that. Right? They will not take any space in my head.
I argue that the definition of what you're explaining is not the word legacy. It's just your enjoyment of the few moments of life that you get to enjoy. It's enhanced by this feeling.
Correct.
But it's not a legacy. Legacy, in my definition of what you guys thought legacy was, does not exist. What exists are memories of events that have occurred. You're putting some on a pedestal subjectively, while others just go under the radar. And I have a problem with that.
So we're coming down to running out of time on this. I think that this deserves a continued episode.
Our first two-parter?
I think that we should come back for the next installment and we'll regroup, come up with some new thoughts. But let's move into. We have a lot to think about, right? I mean, we can.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all the fellow Funklers working through this with us. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and please leave comments and questions about legacy, especially so we can get back to you guys and have some fun. Oh my, it's time for Mother Lickin' Funkler Nuggets. The crew is going to discuss the restaurants, bars, and events from the past week, and then everything that's coming up. Nick, man, did you get anything?
You got that right. It's my favorite part. I like discussing the local stuff, and what we got this week to discuss is Faire of the Dog.
Yeah, so we discussed it. We were going to on one of the last installments.
We had a full funk, Trev. We had full funkery out.
For we had 75% funk.
75% funk.
Yeah. So Faire of the Dog, you educated me. It was specifically. I didn't put this together. I thought it was just a play on words of hair of the dog, but it was a dog centered event.
Yes.
Yeah. It was at Will's Pub, Little Indies and Wally's, which is in Mills 50 District, Orlando, Florida. A lot of us live in and around the area, so it's easy to walk over. It was hot. I had a blast.
It was very hot. Anybody who knows this time of year, it's extremely hot. However, it was still a really good time.
So lots of dogs and lots of, alternative folks.
I have some
a little hippie, a little grungy, a little like this. There's this new breed of people that hang out over that way, right?
Yeah, I think that's part of the cultural growth of the area. Bringing out their dogs kind of a little grungy, which I like.
To kind of tie into the last section, I think dogs are fucking narcissistic as shit.
Of course they are. I think
it serves a purpose to make me feel better.
No question about it. I've always said I think dogs give us more than we give them. Even like a rescue dog that you get. I think they give me more than I give them, even though I'm giving them food and shelter. What they give me is beyond what they could possibly comprehend. So
I had fun hanging out with you. We laughed about some maybe coming up with some stand-up comedy jokes. We stood around. People watched. I do have to say, I am fucking over these luxury strollers that take up the entire goddamn sidewalk.
Yes.
And so and to boot, so there's kids in these strollers, which I'll talk about in a second, but people are putting dogs in strollers, and I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yes.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So just to back up, Trev, as we walked in, as we're immediately walking in, we had several people with double strollers.
And double dogs in doubles, like two dogs side by side. Get the fuck out of here.
I agree, but I also hate the strollers more with the fat babies.
Yeah, dude. Make your fat baby get up and walk, especially ones that can walk. Do you remember the strollers? Were you ever put in a stroller when you were a kid?
No.
They were the most janky. It was canvas with metal like this. It cut into my thighs. And now these kids are rolling around in like thousands and thousands of dollar strollers
that are super wide.
And the babies are wide?
The wide and the strollers are wide.
I saw the fattest baby the other day. It like he needed to get up and walk.
How fat was he?
He needed to get up and fucking walk. He looked like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from fucking Ghostbusters, man.
Yes.
And he was laying flat on his back.
Like he just gave up.
Like a happy little dumpling.
Oh, God.
In any case, we went into Will's. So Will's is a local venue.
You have played there, have you not?
I have played there. I play in a band, and we played there many times. One side there's probably like 3 rooms. One side is a straight up bar. One room is the venue room, and then there's like a back room. I guess it's just for spillover. Obviously it's a building that's been repurposed, so they're doing their best to figure that out. But the entire inside was filled with vintage vendors. I think the theme of Faire of the Dog was vintage.
It was vintage and local makers. So people who made their own things and then in vintage as well.
So we did a quick lap and then bumped into you at Little Indies.
I had previously been at Little Indies, for which I hit my favorite one of my two favorite bartenders at Lil Indies, Nathan, who gave me Solitaire Till Dawn, a drink that has not been on the menu for a year, but Nathan still recognizes and serves me the drink whenever Nathan sees me.
That's customer service. And
Yes.
that's Little Indies, yeah.
That's what you get.
So then stood around, joked, watched people, and then headed down to Wally's. Wally's was where, so there were still vintage vendors, and there were tons of food trucks. We didn't really partake in any of the food trucks, but there were, half a dozen?
I believe there was a food truck that the Wizard liked.
Red Panda noodle.
There you go.
Holy crap.
Yeah?
What do you get from Red Panda?
It changes a lot, but the whole thing is that they hand pull their noodles, so like the texture is just godly.
Okay.
The textures, the ingredients that they use,
I like when my noodles hand pulled.
it's just like they use. I'm pretty sure they use MSG, which is like
Great.
like
Old school.
diet
Reminds me
cocaine,
of the 80s. Yeah.
diet cocaine. So whenever I see them, something lights up in my head.
Okay.
Love it.
Yeah, so closing thoughts for Faire the dog. I had a blast. I like hanging out with my friends. I don't know if Mills 50 is turning too alternative for me. I feel like I stick out, and there's a lot of dreadlocks. There's a lot of interesting smells. There's a lot of clothing that doesn't really align with my style these days, and I think that goes into the interactions as well.
Well, I think it's funny if people were to see me and you standing next to each other, you saying that, than me saying, I feel more comfortable. I
Really?
like the funk.
Okay.
I like the smell of it.
I like us.
I like the heat.
I like our friendship, and that you look the way that you do, and I look the way that I do, and we're virtually an odd couple.
I agree. I look like a
and
fucking nerd.
We don't. Most people pick up their friends' style. Like a group goes out and they're all kind of wearing the same sort of shit. Nope.
Not at all.
No, and I love that.
I do too.
Yeah. So Nick, you have a couple of announcements to make?
Just to shout out during the Mother Lickin' Funkler Nugget portion, I'd like to give a pitch for Wednesday night trivia at Fiddler's Green, 7 to 9, hosted by me at Orlando Trivia on Instagram. And then you can check out the Wizard, Ed, who is hosting at Harp and Celt, 7:30, downtown Orlando.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to go and hang out and do some, answer some questions. So yeah, it's time to wrap things up. Thank you to all the fellow Funklers for listening. We hope you enjoyed this journey just as much as we did. A special thanks, as always, to the Wizard of Ed, our super producer. If you haven't already, please hit like and subscribe. We love hearing from you, so please leave comments, questions, and requests. Connect with us on social media for more adventures and madness throughout the week. So we're leaving little nuggets, little breadcrumbs of pictures on our Instagram, and we're doing this live. So you can, like, if we make a post and you see where we're at, come out. We'll buy you a beer, you buy us a beer, and we'll hang out and have fun. Anytime, and we're checking out food trucks, we're going to concerts. So pay attention to our Instagram. And goodbye for now.
Yep.
I'm really excited to. We'll continue this legacy conversation in the near future.
Yep, please do.
See you in the promised land.